I think that, the debt can definitely affect your sex life depending on what type of money personality that you have. Like for me, there was times where I would just be so stressed out, especially for me after making the big payments. Let's say I made a payment that month of $15,000. But man, the stress that it put on me just sort of took me out of the mood at times. For a little bit, right? It wasn't long.
It wasn't like my debt. So I was
God, bro.
I'm like, okay, we made 15 grand extra. We're going to put 15 grand. I was happy about it. I was more relieved is what I'm saying. The problem is that a lot of people want a free handout. I've never been that way. I don't want anything handed to me.
All right, guys, here we go. Another episode of Matrimony and Money. And today we are actually going live from our home. We are recording because we're going to start going on YouTube. So super excited. But the most important thing is I have my wife here with me. She's here. Are you excited? My wife doesn't love being on the camera. I love being on the camera. I love talking. So this is going to be great, guys. Thanks for tuning in. Let's jump right into it. So as you guys know, we paid off $203,000 in 27 months. And that's what sort of got us here, doing the podcast, dealing with the no debt life. But I like for you guys to hear sort of the backstory and just really jump into that, because I think when you see the big numbers and stuff like that, the Dave Ramsey Show, people just sort of make assumptions. But Cristina and I, we got married at 22, and we basically carried that debt around for 14, 15 years, right? Never looking at it. Now, the thing is, I had some school debt from graduate school and all of that stuff. So all of the debt was mine, right? Cristina had none until we got married. Then it was ours, right? We always joke around that it was my debt, but when we got married, it was ours. But, there's a lot of stress that came with that debt. So my first question to you would be, how did it make you feel all those years while we were sort of just living life, knowing that it was sort of in the background?
Honestly, I just never thought we'd pay it off because it was so much. By the time you went to graduate school, I was already working 2 to 3 jobs at a time. So I always had multiple sources of income, but the income wasn't big. So I literally would stress out about it, but I wasn't seeing like the notifications like you were. I wasn't the phone calls. I wasn't I didn't feel too guilty about my part in it, but I did feel bad because every time we would circle back and have a financial meeting, it was like taking, I don't know, just a small chunk out of a mountain, out of Everest. And it's like, well, I guess we're just never going to pay this off. We're always going to pay the minimums. And it was just overwhelming. It was sad. Anytime we talk about it, it'd make him angry and me sad because there's really nothing we could do. If you're not earning a lot of money, there's nothing you can do to pour into that debt. So it was always trying to find multiple sources of income to help supplement and throw bigger chunks. But we threw as many, like even way back when we were living very, very modestly, mostly necessities, not spending over at all. And whatever little we had, we would throw at it.
I would say sometimes, but because I had set it up with Sally Mae to basically, I came to the conclusion that I was just going to pay these people $300, $400 a month forever for the rest of my life because the interest rate was so much.
But I think it's because we were having babies too.
Yeah.
Like there was just other expenses. A kid would go into the hospital or another need would, especially when you own a business, you don't get health insurance like if you worked for a big corporation. So yeah, I mean, sometimes there wasn't a lot to throw at it, so we couldn't. But whenever we could, we were throwing it at this mountain. You didn't feel like it but honestly, that's all we had to throw at it. So I think you're looking at the the price, the amount that we were able to. I mean, sometimes we weren't, because having babies is expensive and they come first. But I mean, we were doing all the necessary things to be able to throw something at it. But again, it just felt hopeless. It was really just, what are we doing? Why are we doing this?
Yeah.
It felt pointless at times.
Absolutely. But, one of the things, that we knew about the school debt specifically, but one thing we didn't do, we didn't take on like more debt, right? The
Right.
school debt was really the big thing. There was
Right.
wasn't big credit cards, it wasn't big vehicles, stuff like that.
Even with starting a business, buying equipment, we had a gym. So buying equipment, we would buy one thing at a time. So one dumbbell, and then maybe we'll get the partner next paycheck or whatever. So it was, I mean, brick by brick.
No,
we were
for sure.
trying
For sure.
for both to make the money and to expand our business and expand how much we were making, our income, but also brick by brick, we were trying to just be diligent about like being good stewards. Like we were just very aware of our stewardship. But again, even then, couponing, doing all the things, there wasn't just much left over.
Oh, I miss our couponing days.
I should have kept that. I honestly thought today, I was like, where's my book? I need to get back on it, because he's
Okay.
like, I'm on E on my gas tank, and I'm like, I'm not filling this up. I'm just going to walk everywhere. This is ridiculous. It's just principle. I cannot be spending this much money. But yes, yeah, I should have kept that up. Why not? Like coupons, why not?
So let's sort of fast forward, like, because today I want to talk about a couple of things. Sort of fast forward to when we decided. I mean, I remember, it was that night.
Sorry, I have a long back, short legs.
We're visiting some friends, and Sally Mae called me while we were visiting some friends. They were actually taking us to the movies because we had driven up to see them. I didn't have any money to go take my family by to the movie theater, so our friends, they did. And when they called, something just stirred in my spirit, and I was just like, I remember telling Christina that night, I said, this is it. I said, I'm tired of this. I said, what do you think about us really getting serious about this student loan debt, getting rid of it? She's like, yeah, absolutely, let's
Are
do
you
it.
talking about when we were at Tennessee?
Yeah.
Well, do you want to know why you said that was it as well?
Yeah, why?
So for those of you who don't know, Dave Ramsey his headquarters are in Tennessee. So we went and visited them earlier that day, and we spent the day. It's a really cool place to go. You can listen to the podcast live. You can drink their coffee and eat their cookies, and get to see. They have like a small museum of how Ramsey Enterprises started and their whole storyline. So it was a good experience for the kids to understand this is what we've been trying to get on. We just don't make enough money to actually like start snowballing and doing all these things. So that was our first visit to
Okay.
Ramsey Solutions.
So yeah, I mean that
that
night,
lit a fire in both
yeah,
of us. We're like, I can't believe we're
definitely.
living like this and sitting there for hours. Even the
Listen.
kids listening to other people's stories and watching them do the debt-free scream. So then, yes, that night, the Colliouts took us out.
Yeah.
And we both kind of had it.
Yeah. And I think that, for us, like I look back, I can't remember exactly how much money we were making per year. Doesn't matter. I remember vividly the math saying, okay, if we, if we continue our lifestyle the same, we weren't doing a ton, but if we really attack this debt, it's going to take us about 5.5, 6 years. And I remember thinking like, do I really want to do this for 5.5, 6 years? But we had already sort of spoke it out, and we agreed to it.
And we were already living, like a lot of people don't realize, we were already living so basic, so bare minimum on coupons. And so the way our lifestyle was, even our kids knew, like entertainment was a free park or a museum, or like we were already living so modest. We weren't depriving ourselves of things, but we weren't going out to eat all the time. We weren't, like, I think that's good to factor in, because like a lot of people are living a certain way now that when we look at them, we're like, we would have never done that back then. I mean, honestly, we did the budget frequently together, and that's when I was in charge of our budget. So I would go grocery shopping, come home, pull out my book, and literally write down and be like, okay, we got $20 left until this date. And then he'd be like, well, I have to go to the gas station because I have to go train somebody. And how much did you know exactly to the penny?
Yeah.
Not $20. Like, so if anything, round up to me. If you lost a receipt or didn't get one, just, we need worst case scenarios all the time. So before there was all these cool apps and, login banking and charging people from your phone, we had to do everything manually. So seeing that number, like you have like this number at the beginning of the month when you get paid, and seeing it just dwindle down, it makes you rethink. There were times at the grocery store we put things back because of it. So I think we were so used to that living before we decided we're going to do this snowball, we're going to throw everything at it full force. We were still kind of doing that just by the lifestyle that we led.
Yeah. And
it's how I remember it. I mean, I didn't go to the store without my coupons. If I went, then I didn't get anything.
And I believe, for me, one of the big things, I was just looking at that time frame. I was just like, man, do I really, as the leader and the provider for the home, because Christina stays at home with the kids, I was like, do I really want my family to have to sacrifice for this long? Like, they deserve better. It was sort of pulling at my heart, because obviously as a man, you want the best for your family. And when you just think the best, you like, no one cared about us going and doing all this stuff. They really just want to be with us. But I was just sort of beating myself up, because like, this is really not fair. This is that. I took on all this school debt. But it was amazing to see. Let's sort of fast forward a little bit. Sort of amazing to see once we started doing it, really locking in on our budget, snowballing, how I would say probably, man, 6 months, something like that. I don't know. It was something quick where our income started to increase because we started other business, and that just started to take off. And I was just blown away how fast we were able to start making progress. Now, I will say a big thing that sort of saved us, not saved us, but a big thing that helped us was COVID, because during COVID, if you guys remember, if you had student loans back then, they paused the interest. So when they paused the interest, every dollar that we paid actually decreased the balance by $1. As opposed to now, when that interest is going, you could pay $500 and it only takes the balance down by $40,
Right.
whatever. So that really motivated me personally as well, because I was logging in, making the payments, and seeing our income increase really motivated me. People talk about making money as a skill, and we were making money. The big thing that we weren't doing, I'll say, kudos to us, I'll say, is that we weren't increasing our lifestyle.
That's what I meant.
Like, as money started coming in, right?
We stayed the same.
Because we started making
our pattern and our habits remained the exact same.
Because we started making big payments, and it was easy. I mean, at times I would be like, man, this is dumb. We could do so much with this, instead of making an $8,000 payment.
Sherman would hide, because not every couple normally has a spender and a saver. Well, for many, many, many years, I saved, but my true personality and identity was to spend.
Ooh,
yes. So Jesus saved, I spent.
That girl can spend some money.
And so, but I didn't want to spend. I didn't want to spend because, again, I'm looking at it every day. So I'm looking at like, okay, that extra trip to TJ Maxx wasn't necessary. It wasted this much gas. Like, I was literally a psychopath.
You ladies, I don't know why you ladies go to TJ Maxx
It's the best.
and Ross.
It has everything.
It's like a
one
junkyard.
You can even
for
get a
clothes.
snack,
Like a junkyard,
a
stuff
soda.
everywhere.
Like, I mean, and it's at a discounted price. I'm telling you. So I tried my best to continue my pattern, but one thing that we started doing is I did not want to be, because I was in charge of the budget. And when our business started taking off, I didn't want to know how much more we were making. Like, don't even tell me. I don't want to be tempted. I was like, kind of like an alcoholic going to a bar. Like, don't put me in the bar, because I might order a couple drinks. And I didn't want to stunt our progress by being tempted. Like, there's certain temptations in all walks of life that people struggle with. And I self-admittedly was struggling with coveting, like lusting. Like, if we've worked this hard and I've sacrificed this much, if you made this extra, why can't I have a little tiny cut of it? But the point was, let's just throw it at the pile. So I'm like, okay, I'd rather not know and let me believe that we're living. So I kept my budget sheet the exact same. So our income was increasing, but we were throwing everything at there. So I was pretending and treating our family lifestyle like we were still earning that much money. That's it. It was just out of sight, out of mind. Throw it at it. Don't tell me. Like, I don't even want to know, because I don't want to be tempted to say, now we can do this and that and the other. And if you know us, and you've known us for a while, even my kids will tell you this. The one thing my husband doesn't like is telling me no. I never used to like to put him in that position. Like, for instance, if I needed, certain health care and the prescription was expensive, that broke my heart. I'd be like, well, I need this, like I can't, like I'm trying my best to be as healthy as possible. Like I had to have a heart surgery through all that. And it broke my heart. I'm like,
not because of the debt.
Not because of the debt.
Hey, come on.
It didn't.
You have to have a heart surgery because of the debt, guys.
No, it was a birth defect.
Yes,
it was a birth defect. But I remember like the stress of like, how much is this going to cost us? Oh my gosh. Like, and me talking to the insurance company, because we did a health share. We didn't do insurance, but we were always throwing money into this health share. And I'm like, okay, we need to cash in, and there were parameters that they had for since it was a birth defect, if you stalled enough, they would increase the percentage they would pay off. It's a very tricky system. And I was just like, I got to a point where I'm like, I can't do this anymore. I can't go through, like AFib and tachycardia. And like, this is dangerous. Like I need to figure out how to have this surgery and be safe and, not put an added burden. Cause you think about those things when you have goals, right? Like you're like, oh crap, if it's my kids, I don't care. But when it's me, I'm just like, can I just live off of blood thinners and doing this stuff and be healthy? It got to a point where no, I really couldn't control it. So even those things that are necessities, you're just like, can I, Sherman always tells people, it's cheaper to keep her. So just let's do it. Let's get this over with. And God was so gracious through all of that. And I believe it was because of our obedience and how much we were committed to doing what he was calling us to do in that season. So a lot of people don't understand, like, no, you're not making enough or whatever, but he sees your heart. First of all, we were tithing. We were being faithful in that. We felt a strong conviction that the word of the Lord was that for us.
A lot of people don't tithe.
And a lot of people don't tithe, but that was the word of the Lord for us. And we feel like that's the word, that's just what God calls us to do. So we were being faithful in certain areas, not overspending, budgeting, couponing, whatever we could physically do, walking where we needed to, and saving on gas, little things like that we put into place so that we could do other things if those needs arose.
Yeah.
Right, whatever. So
we have to get the. So okay. So listen to this. I want to jump into this because we're gonna have. So
I don't even know where I was going.
Me neither. Christina's gonna be a mainstay on the pod now, so we're gonna have plenty of conversations.
A lot of people don't know this is like my worst. I'm only doing this because I love him.
She doesn't want to be on the camera
because I love him and he's worked hard and he's passionate about helping other people. Like if I could just meet with you one-on-one and host you for a week, that would be better for me. But he likes this.
So maybe one day we'll have a no debt like
one part, like
get together,
one
like a lot of people.
One family.
No, not one. You could.
No, just.
All right. So let's talk about this. Let's talk about how, and then we're gonna get out of here. Let's talk about how the money problems and the debt affects your sex life, because that was that's what we started talking about. So let's talk about that a little bit, right?
You really think that?
Well, that's what we're gonna talk about. So,
but do you I don't know, your personality, you're like very nice. Like, okay, one thing I love about my husband is that
one thing of many. But anyway, okay.
Life can throw a million things at him. This is your way of protecting me, isn't it? And you're just constant. He's constant. Like sometimes I can see when you're stressed or when things are going wrong, you're like snippety snaps. But during that season, I don't feel like our marriage, and I want to be careful because I'm trying to remember.
Yeah.
We haven't had the perfect marriage at all. But like our marriage didn't suffer because of money. Like we never fought over money.
No, we didn't. I mean, that's one of the big things we talk about. It was sort of just that.
Like I knew I was poor and it's fine. Like it is what it is.
It's sort of just that silence. I mean that's the thing. Like we always
I didn't care.
We sort of talk about and joke about. Both of us grew up poor, right? I grew up with a single mom. Cristina had her mom and dad, but none
And
of
I
us,
didn't know it.
like none of us really came. Neither one of us
I don't
came
really think I
from.
missed out on anything.
Yeah,
I
neither
had
one
a
of
great
us
life.
came from, you know, this
And I worked hard
rich
from a young
background
age.
and all of that. But it just it made it easier for us to just sort of go with the flow and do what we had to do to take care of business. But I think that, you know, the debt can definitely affect your sex life depending on what type of money personality that you have. Like for me, there was times where I would just be so stressed out, especially for me, just being totally transparent, especially for me after making the big payments. Like if I, you know, again, it's sort of like a double-edged sword, right? Like everything was going great because I was able to make a big payment. Let's say I made a payment that month of $15,000. But man, the stress that it put on me just sort of took me out of the mood at times. For a little bit, right? It wasn't long, but for a little bit because that's just the way that I was wired. You know, I'm just like, man, $15,000 that could have been going to retirement and blah blah blah. You know,
See, and I didn't look at it like that. Like it didn't bother me.
Yeah.
Probably because it wasn't like I got yelled at Dave Ramsey for saying this, but it wasn't like my debt. So I was
my God, bro. It was your day. We got married, so now
I know, but like I was working 3 jobs at a time. I was working 3 jobs when I was pregnant. Like,
yeah, but not when we pay the debt.
No, but that made me feel like that didn't. I didn't feel guilty.
Oh yeah,
I didn't feel guilty. So like I'm like, okay, we made 15 grand extra. We're gonna put 15 grand. I was happy about it. I was more relieved, is what I'm saying. You were stressed out about it, thinking shoulda, woulda, coulda. At the end of the day, I think I'm a realist. He's the visionary. I'm the realist.
I'm definitely
My thing is, we spent the money. It has to be paid. Yay, we're paying it. Like it's just hanging over our shoulders. So that actually did the opposite for me. It made me happier and more attracted to you, that you were like slaying this giant and we're like beating it, not shoulda, woulda, coulda. The problem is that a lot of people want a free handout. I've never been that way. I don't want anything handed to me. So my thing is, like I like to earn, and that's a value my parents taught me. They worked hard for everything. And like my dad busted his butt to get us to where we were. And I felt like I never missed out because they raised us humbly. They were very transparent about money. One of the reasons I don't have debt is because my dad taught me, you know, these are the kind of grades you're going to need. This is the kind of scholarships you're going to need, and we're going to help you figure it out. But, you know, this is how much money I make, you know, not necessarily the dollar amount, but like, I can't pay for you to go off to school somewhere in this. They were real. They weren't like trying to deprive me, but they were trying to show me the value of we work hard for what we can get. And not everybody's called to be a high earner, right? So,
well, I mean, that's a big thing. I think, no, well, we're not gonna jump into that this episode, but you know, everyone talks about
like, I don't feel bad about it because that's what we had, and we
like
did what we could with what we had.
And then sort of pick back off Cristina. I grew up with just the typical, you go to college, you get your degrees, and everything's gonna be all right. And
which is fine, but
no, it's not fine.
But at what cost? Like,
correct.
So that was a decision. My dad especially was very wise.
I wish someone would have told me like your dad told you like, hey,
he's amazing.
You cannot afford this, blah blah blah. It was just like, go to school, everything's gonna be fine.
And he's like, oh, if you're making these grades, you're gonna get a full ride and this and that. He actually walked me to the private school that I wanted to go to. You know, kind of like, you know, that's 3 times the amount of what you want to spend. Let's see if your grades and your SATs and all that stuff is going to get you where you want to be. He actually walked me there, and we talked to the business office. I ended up with a job by the time I left there. And his wisdom with finances and money is what taught me to be a good steward of that. So I wasn't afraid to work hard. I didn't feel bad that woe is me. No, like what else? Like when you don't have children, what else are you doing? Like do 2 or 3 jobs, get a side hustle, like maximize the time so you can get the ball rolling. Like by the time we had Caden, my firstborn, I'm like, what did I do with and I worked a lot, but what did I do with my days? I still felt like I had so much idle time that I could have been doing something else,
that's one of the things. That's one of the things I look back at. I wish there's a couple in our church, the Gamblin. Shout out to the Gamblins. They took care of their debt early, and I remember before we had kids, they were doing. I was like, why are they making all these sacrifices to pay off this debt? And I remember they did it. I was like, that's cool.
They're how everybody should have.
But I sort of just like whatever. And then when I was knocking it out, I think back, I'm just like, man, we could have knocked this debt out years ago. But nevertheless, that's neither here nor there. Like, guys,
God has what He has for everybody.
we're going to have some great conversation on this podcast. We didn't get into a few things that we wanted to, but we won't keep it.
I'm really troubled by the sex thing, though. Like, we need to circle back because I felt happy about it. And now I'm finding out after all these years that you...
We'll talk about that at another time. We got to cut it off. So,
okay.
Guys, as always, tell a friend to tune in, and we will chat with you guys next week. All right.